the minimum basic hustle requirements in the field. McCutcheon's on first base, nobody out. Top of the first inning, Segura pops up to the second baseman and just leisurely starts jogging down the first base line. Ian Kinsler spotted this, let the ball drop.
Oh, jeez.
Throws to first to get the out because it's not a pop-up now. There's no infield fly with a runner at first. And now McCutcheon's stuck in a rundown. He hurts his knee in the rundown, and he's going to be out for a while. If Segura had simply run hard to first base after the pop-up, Kinsler doesn't let it drop because it changes the whole scenario.
Right.
And Andrew McCutcheon isn't heading to the injured list with a knee injury. I just hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I don't care how much they pay you, but for crying out loud, do your job. Yeah. And by the way, Segura, kind of a protege of Robinson Cano, another no-hustle guy.
Yeah.
These guys they really want to make me barf, okay? Just go out and play the game. Play it the right way. All right. Twins and Indians is the best series out there because, to me, this is a must for the Indians. They've got to do well in this series, or they can pretty much start praying that they're a wild card team because they ain't going to catch Minnesota in the division. They've got him at home. They're facing the rookie Smeltzer, who was terrific in his debut. Bieber's on the mound for the Indians. I know he's got a limited arsenal. I know he's a regression candidate, but boy, until that regression shows, not a guy I'd be going against.
Well, the regression did peek its head out in the last start.
Yep.
He did, but it was against Boston, who's been hitting the ball well right now. But he did allow 6 runs in 5 innings to Boston. And as you said, Dave, for it to be the first week of June, and we're talking about the Cleveland Indians, and we're talking about their season being on the line in this series, it's been a bad 2 months for the Indians. They're 11 and a half games back, and they're facing the hottest team in baseball, Minnesota, who's got a rookie that's coming off an absolutely sensational game, allowing no runs over 6 innings against Milwaukee. Struck out 7, no walks, total command of his pitches. That's one heck of an opening debut for a pitcher.
Oh, he was terrific. Yeah. And he's a great story, by the way. Cancer survivor at the age of 9. And here he is in the major leagues.
Dave, awesome. Last stat for you. Do you realize Minnesota is 34-12 against right-handers this season?
Not too shabby. Johnny Murray. Follow him at Vegas Murray. Go see him down at Superbook USA at the Westgate. What's going on, Johnny? How are you, man?
Hey, what's going on, bud? Everything's good.
Sorry to keep you on hold so long, but I had to do my Gene Segura rant.
Tell me how you really feel about him.
Well, I mean, and you know, I think this is common among bettors and probably bookmakers as well. Just go out there and play hard. That to me is we want bettors and books want integrity in the game.
Sure.
And part of integrity is going out there and playing the game the right way. And he did it the wrong way last night, and it ended up causing one of his teammates to get injured.
Oh, I don't disagree with you at all, and I love a good rant. So you don't have to apologize for keeping me on hold for a rant.
There you go.
I'm fine with it.
All right. Well, let's talk about a variety of things here. We'll start with the NBA. Game 3. Where are we right now on the series price in? What's going on with the line? Because I've seen it bouncing all over the place today.
Yeah, we're down to 4.5 here.
Wow.
Golden State minus 4.5. We got the series price Warriors minus 280, and you're seeing the number come down just because of all these injuries Golden State's dealing with. I think they said Steve Kerr said that Klay Thompson might play or he might not play. That was very helpful for us to hear that great nugget from Coach Kerr. Kevon Looney is not going to play. Durant, of course, is not going to play. We expected that. So, the Warriors are very banged up right now. The public is still betting Golden State. We got almost a 3-1 ticket count on Golden State here at the Superbook. So I still think the public is going to bet the Warriors because they always do. But they're a very banged-up team right now. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I like I don't like them having injuries, but the way I bet the series, and I took Curry for the MVP rather than lay the 310 at the series price. If Golden State wins, there's not going to be anybody left to get the MVP.
I want to ask you a question. Why? Yeah. To me, this was a correlated parlay situation. Spurs with Leonard for MVP, Warriors with Curry for MVP. To me, that's a correlated parlay if there ever was one. Why didn't you go that route, if I can ask?
For me?
Yeah.
Because I feel Golden State was the team that was going to win it. But yet, there was a lot of value to take Kawhi Leonard, because at the time that I took Curry at minus 140, I think Kawhi Leonard was plus 250,
right.
which was a little bit higher than what Toronto was getting on the money line for the series price.
See, my thought, and Johnny, I'll ask you if it played out this way, was that if you think the Warriors are going to win, bet it with Curry to win the MVP, and if you think the Raptors are going to win, then Kawhi Leonard's going to be the MVP if the Raptors win. So to me, that to me was, I wouldn't make just one bet. That's one situation where I would go the parlay route.
Well, I agree with you on the second part, Dave, about I don't see how the Raptors could win without Leonard kind of carrying them and being the MVP, but I don't think it's impossible that maybe Draymond Green could be named the MVP of the series. We'll see what happens with Klay Thompson. Maybe he'll get back into the series for Game 3. But certainly Curry would be very likely the MVP if Golden State does win, but I don't think it's as much of a sure thing as it's hard to picture any scenario in which Toronto wins the series that Kawhi is not the MVP.
John, the only reason I was so high on Curry to get it is for all of the success that Golden State has had in all these championships over the last 4 or 5 years, is he's never won the NBA Finals MVP.
That was my thought process.
Yeah,
right.
and so, the writers, I don't want to say it, but sometimes the writers do go with the old makeup call to get him one, because Draymond did get his in that one series.
Well, no, I don't think. I think it was Iguodala, and then Durant got 2 of them.
Right, and Draymond got. Didn't Draymond get one?
I don't remember.
I don't believe so.
They have 4 titles.
I agree with you. I think Curry would probably get it. I'm just saying I wouldn't completely rule out Draymond Green. I think he almost had a triple-double in Game 2. Curry didn't shoot too effectively from outside in that game. I do think he would probably get it, but I think Draymond Green would at least have a chance.
The beauty of the NHL, and it really is, it can be frustrating if you're on the wrong side of it, but the beauty of the NHL is that a team can get outplayed pretty badly, and that's the one sport where they can still win if they've got a hot goaltender and they got a couple of breaks. And if you look at the first 4 games of the Bruins-Blues series, St. Louis has been dominant in one game, Game 2, needed overtime. The Bruins killed them in Games 1 and 3, and I thought last night's game, to me, was a pretty even hockey game. But it's all even. It's 2 games apiece. And if you're a Blues fan, you got to be feeling really good right now because your team's gotten the worst of it on the Pythagorean angles and some other stuff, but they're right there. This is a lot of fun.
Oh, I agree with you. I thought last night's game was definitely the best game of the series, and it made sense that St. Louis would bounce back like that in Game 4 after they just got steamrolled in Game 3. Really kind of a shockingly bad performance from St. Louis in Game 3, and I was impressed with the way they bounced back last night. And it certainly looks like it might be just a toss-up here. You got to give Boston the edge because they do have home ice advantage in what is now a 3-game series, but Boston's a little bit banged up in terms of their defense right now.
Yeah, I know.
St. Louis is giving them all they can handle. We need Boston here. We're not as stuck on the Blues are as some of our colleagues in the industry have told me that their books lose quite a bit on St. Louis. We actually do fine on St. Louis. It's just that we win so much on Boston that we're rooting for the Bruins here at the Superbook. Although, personally, I don't know that I can really root for another Boston championship, guys.
Well, of course,
I mean, how many can they have?
As many as they want.
In terms of the bookmaking, we are rooting for the Bruins.
Last week, Jeff Sherman, Jeff's so sharp when it comes to golf, and he was very clear on the show last week that he thought Patrick Cantlay was the best choice. Yeah. He liked a few players, but Patrick Cantlay was kind of the standout for him last week. Well, that sure paid off. I think Jeff had 20-1 on him, and I had a nice price on Cantlay myself because when Jeff Sherman is strong on something in golf, I'm playing it. Nice payday. So we fully expect you to come up with an easy winner for us in the Canadian Open.
No, it's so easy to pick the winner of a golf tournament on Tuesday. I mean, how do I get stuck doing this show in Jeff's place when he's coming off of giving out an outright winner the previous week? If I got to make a pick, I'm going to go with Bud Cauley.
Oh, okay.
We have him at 40-1 here at the Superbook, and I know that I did speak to Mr. Sherman, our lead golf guy. He told me he likes Cauley this week, but that's a tough act to follow when you give out the winner the week earlier. It's pretty impressive stuff from Jeff.
And this is it's kind of an interesting tournament because you've got three guys who really are going to dominate the market this week, and Dustin Johnson, McElroy, and Brooks Koepka. They're all going to be cheap. Basically, if you go outside the top three, you can get a pretty good-sized price on almost anybody. And you got the U.S. Open next week. So, is there a look-ahead factor for even the superstars that are playing this week? And they haven't played on this course I think it's since 2012 was the last time they played here. And by the way, Scott Piercy, who's in the field this week, was the winner. But there's no real course history to look at. So this is a very difficult handicap this week.
I don't know how you can bet Brooks Koepka at 6-1 when the guy is basically just flat out said he only cares about the four major tournaments. I don't know that I would back him, but certainly DJ, we have him at 5-1, and Rory McIlroy at 10-1 are the three standouts this week. Justin Thomas, the next favorite, at 16-1.
And he's coming off a wrist injury and is probably using this as more of a warm-up than anything else, which is why he's priced so high. So, yeah, I mean, I personally think Dustin Johnson wins the tournament, but 5-1, I wouldn't bet it. That's just not. It's just not a good bet.
It's really hard to bet a golfer to win the tournament outright at 5 or 6-1 before it starts. I mean, there's so many good guys, even in this abbreviated field. There's so many good golfers right now. It's very difficult to pick the winner of a golf tournament unless you're Jeff Sherman.
Yeah, there you go. We're going to skip the baseball talk because we're getting up against the clock. But we've got a couple of big things coming up this weekend. It's the Belmont, the last leg of the Triple Crown. And we know Superbook USA at the Westgate will be an awesome place to watch that. Plus, UFC 238 going on Saturday night. And when there's a UFC show, the fans show up.
Yeah, it should actually be a really good UFC this week, highlighted by the Donald Cerrone-Tony Ferguson fight. I think that's the clear standout on the card. There's two title fights that'll get a little bit more attention, but that Cerrone-Ferguson, that'll be the main event for the fans and people like me, and I definitely think it's really one of the best fights of the year in the UFC. Right now we've got Ferguson minus 155 against the Cowboy. Donald Cerrone just fought, I believe, on May 4. He fought Ally Quinta in a 5-round fight. So it's a lot to ask of Cerrone to come back and fight somebody as good as Tony Ferguson on just a couple of weeks' rest.
Hey, I just wanted to tell all of our listeners, because we kind of sandbagged him with the golf that coming on the week after Jeff.
Yes.
But I can tell you, all last season, college football, our own Kelly Stewart would go down and meet with John Murray, and he had that little magical card that had 5 games on it every week. Yeah. And, John, I can tell you that at WagerTalk, that was one of the most popular videos that Kelly did all year with us, is meeting up with you and getting those 5 picks. So I hope Miss Kelly's able to convince you to do that again this year, because the fans really liked it, and you were absolutely phenomenal with those plays.
Did they like the picks, or was it just the banter between me and Kelly?
Well,
Or maybe they just like looking at me. That's
that was it, John.
No.
That was it. It wasn't the picks at all.
Right.
It was.
Right. No, Kelly and I had a lot of fun doing that, and I saw her this morning actually, and she was already pressuring me to do that spot with her again this season. Oh, that's Kelly, it's June, all right? Let's just take it easy. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Was she also pressuring you to have a booth reserved for her for the entire season?
I don't know about the entire season, although Kelly's so big time now that she's with Bleacher Report, she could probably afford to just pay for it.
Really?
But no, I love Kelly, and I enjoy doing those videos with her, and I'm sure we'll figure something out.
They're a lot of fun. They're great to watch. John, thanks, man. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, guys, anytime. Have a good day.
And don't forget, if you haven't gotten the app downloaded yet, you don't even have to have an account to be able to view the app and view all the numbers. And then when you see stuff you like, just take a drive down, get your money up, and play like a pro.
And Dave, it is the Westgate, there's no question, I regard as one of the sharpest books on the Strip. And if you're somewhere else and you're listening to us, that is a great reference point to see where the line is and where your guy's at, because the Westgate's going to be generally more on the right, the sharp side.
Got to mention this real quickly. This is another good UFC card this weekend. That Cerrone fight with Ferguson should be, the crowd's going to love that. This is the difference between boxing and UFC, and it's why one is surpassed the other.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is making a huge deal out of what took place over the weekend, and it was, okay? I mean, it was a big upset. But there are so few of these in boxing, and there's so few fights where afterwards the main topic is usually how bad the officiating was or the scoring was. When UFC has a card like this, my timeline will be going